What's up everyone, Coco Mojo here with another Sub-Rogue VOD review. This was a Tyrannical 23 Necrotic Wake that I ran with most of the people in my current team. Our healer is on vacation, so we just pugged this person from LFG. This is my first key, or one of my first keys rather, with this Axe Trinket from the raid. I ended up getting it in my weekly vault, so I'm looking to press this on AoE, really on any opportunity I can. So here I'm just in my AoE rotation, getting combo points with Shuriken Storm and pressing Black Powder, and the Axe just expired, and I'm doing 55k DPS in AoE, which is definitely pretty entertaining. It's a very fun trinket to use. It is a little clunky because it's basically giving you these. Oh, this actually is kind of crazy. We end up accidentally pulling this Gatekeeper, and this mob totally sucks. They put out this clinging darkness that ramps in damage and jumps to another player whenever it gets dispelled. It's a totally troll ability. And he just continues to summon soldiers that don't give count, so I'm not really sure why we continue to fight this, but that's fine. Anyway, the axe, it's a little clunky to use. It gives you this rotating buff between the sword, the axe, and the wand, and each of these buffs lasts for 12 seconds, and whenever you use the trinket with one of the buffs, you are granted some effect. And really the only one that's worth mentioning for Venthyr Sub-Rogue is the Axe, which will make it so your critical strikes will put a short bleed on your target. So this is great for sub, as you can imagine, because we tend to have a lot of crit, right? Like I'm running at, I'm pretty sure I have crit T right now. I'm at 39% crit, almost 40% crit. And so in AoE, you're just critting all over everything, and you're going to be applying that bleed constantly. So it's insanely good in AoE, and it ends up being like, I think 8% of my overall at the end of the dungeon. I'll show the meters, but it does a ton of damage. Our tank accidentally got hit by the Swirly, and I ended up tanking for a little bit with evasion, and then ended up using a vanish to just drop threat entirely once our tank is back. That was definitely a little scary. So I have the Axe Trinket coming up for this boss. I should cast it immediately, but I'm pretty sure that I don't actually. I think I save it for a while. I just get into my funnel rotation. We've got all of these extra mobs, so I'm just looking to do as much funnel as I can, but then once the worms spawn, then I swap to AoE. I want to be helping kill these worms as quickly as possible. I should be getting Slice and Dice back up. Okay, that's good. Then we get into Flag with Symbols and Dance. That's good. And then at this point, the boss is pretty much on rails, right? We are going to be alternating between casting Symbols and Dance, a single Shadow Dance, and then whenever we have Flag, we're going to aim to cast 2 Shadow Dances. So one Shadow Dance to help get a ton of combo points, and then another Shadow Dance to take advantage of the big burst buff that we end up getting at the end of our Flag window. And now I have the Axe Trinket available. It's ready to go. I press it very late. I should have pressed it at the start of the fight when we had all of that trash, but I press it here, and I think I delayed it because I knew we were going to get another Wretch, and that's going to mean that these worms are here. And you can see on their nameplates, I'm just casting some Shuriken Tornadoes, or Shuriken Storms rather, and it's putting that bleed on them. So it's you know, it's very good in single target as well, but it really shines in AoE, right? So trying to kind of line it up a little bit with the AoE is what I'm trying to do here in this dungeon. I get targeted by the Wretch, so I point it away from the team and press Evasion to immune the damage. This is like one of my favorite things about Rogue, actually, is you have so many tools to stop damage, either by CCing mobs or by just like being targeted by mechanics and then just immuning them. It's kind of crazy. I think this pull's pretty standard, at least for like pugs and like most key levels, I would say. My goal is to put one of the harvesters on focus and then target the other one so I can be backup for kicks and stops. We tried this same pull in a 24 fortified and it did not go well. We had random deaths from throw flesh, and at this point I think we've decided that we are no longer going to do any pulls with more than one harvester on fortified keys that are push keys for us. And eventually we'll get to that same point with Tyrannical, right? I think we're probably like 2 or 3 key levels away on Tyrannical where it becomes a huge problem there as well. You know, like a 27 Tyrannical is, the trash is going to feel probably about like a 24 fortified key, right? So yeah, we need to do a little bit of work on our routing, but I think I can also help in these pulls as well, just by getting long duration kidney shots on those mobs just to slow some of the damage. But yeah, I think the better option is to just not pull them at all. My goal here is to just funnel this Necromancer. It's really the only mob that needs to die. Everything else is going to die to cleave, and the summoned mobs will just go away, of course, when the Necromancer dies. And the curing weapons are just going to do work here. They're insane. I think we are getting to the point, and this is how like all the best teams seem to operate, so we're striving for this ourselves. But getting to the point where the first half of the dungeon is just played by weapons, right? We should aim to have as few trash pulls as possible without weapons. And we're just going to do a skip and then pull the 2 Marauders at the end of the bridge. I'll skip ahead a little bit. I think I was the only one that sent cooldowns on this pack. Maybe, oh, I guess our Warlock did as well, but I don't think he had imps, so that was a little unfortunate. But at this point, I am looking to, again, it's another Necromancer, so we are just going to be funneling this Necromancer. Our Priest used their boop ability to knock the inspired Necromancer out so we could kick the Frostbolt volley. That was kind of sick, actually. I was kind of expecting that we would just tank it, but our Pug Priest had other ideas, and I like their idea better than ours. Again, we're just going to get orbs and do a pretty big trash pull and let the orbs kill everything. Since we got that Necromancer or the Gatekeeper rather, at the start of the dungeon, we are going to be overcount if we just proceed with our route as normal. So we're just going to do this one pull, and then that's going to get us all the count we need for the first half of the dungeon. But again, Kyrian weapons are going to play this for us. I press buttons, but I don't know if it's like really necessary. I mostly do it just to not do 0 damage, and because it's more fun than just standing there, but I could probably just stand there and it would mostly be okay. Our Kyrian weapons are doing 250 to 300,000 damage through most of this pull. 250 to 300,000 DPS, that is. You know, our 10 to 20k DPS each is like helpful, I guess, technically, but yeah, that's all orbs. This is unfortunate. We have an Earth Ellie out, and I don't notice it. None of us really notice it, but the Earth Ellie pulls, so our Shaman dies. Our Warlock saw it happen and hung back and didn't end up getting threat, so he's just gonna invis skip and will mass res the Shaman. So the whole team's here, we're buffed back up, we're ready to go. Our plan is to just press Bloodlust on this boss. So I get into flag and then end up doing some prio on the relic. Our warlock has no imps, so normally we would save the relics for a little while to make sure that our warlock can get a full 3+ target implosion off, which is going to give him a huge haste buff. So normally I'll just put like 1 eviscerate into the right relic, and that's enough to more or less guarantee that it dies to cleave. But I end up pressing my axe trinket, and this whole first ad wave is like honestly total shit. I press the axe trinket and I do okay damage. Like, I don't hate the amount of damage that I did. I could have done more, I think. But that's fine. The big problem is, of course, I run into kick the boss and get hit by the swirly like a noob. So we do a little mass grip action here and pull all of these mobs in. I start to call kicks again. I'm like trying to get better at calling kicks. I am very inconsistent at it. I will call kicks when I'm not in cooldowns, and then once I'm in cooldowns, my brain is just focused on pressing the right buttons and like reacting to procs. So I just stop calling. But like here I can say, okay, Brixen, do next. I guess I don't. I see that one go off and then start calling. But it's yeah, it's definitely something I'm trying to work on. Yeah, and again, I'm in my cooldowns, so I'm like, brain is off when it comes to situational awareness, and I'm very much focused on just dealing damage. And I decided to stun that one crossbowman because he's just shooting random players and trying to lower the group's damage intake a little bit. But boss is dead, so we are in good shape. Just doing a little break pull here. We're gonna try to get the relic, I think, but that doesn't happen. The cleaver ends up one-banging the Vi relic, which is a little unfortunate. One of the things I try to do in this pull, anything that has a creation and a crafter, or a creation and anything that casts something, is put the caster on focus so I can land kicks, and then mostly target the creation. This is because the creation has so much HP, and so the extra melee damage is valuable there, just as extra priority damage. But the creation also has the Spine Crush circle ability, which is going to force us out of melee, so I can be hitting it with stuns, either a kidney shot or cheap shot or anything along those lines, which is going to stop that cast and help us keep our melee uptime. This next pull does not go that well. So I have Axe ready, and we end up pulling these mobs here and taming the Inspiring Mob. There's nothing wrong with that, but we're hitting this, and then I notice that our tank is chaining in this other pack, and I miss the Force Splatter, and I totally miss up my Tornado. I have not pressed my Trinket yet. Basically, like, I see that mistake, and like then my brain just like shuts down and I start making tons of mistakes. I didn't check the route, so I wasn't really sure what we were gonna do there. So that was my bad. I think we probably want to work on our communication there, and I think we could set up that poll maybe a little bit better too. But it's also something that I need to work on, is making sure that when things start to go wrong, I like don't lose sight of what I should be trying to do for my team, which is largely damage and control. And in that case, I didn't really do much of either. But I'm still like in like bad brain mode at this point, I guess. I was like shuriken storming on 3 targets, which is not great, but it is what it is. But yeah, we make it out alive. It's fine. If it were a fortified week, I think we would probably be dead, and this would be a full wipe. But given that it's tyrannical and our healer is actually doing a really good job. Like I said earlier, we pugged this healer, and they did a good job. On this pull, I am looking to do as much prio to this Kyrian Stitch work as I can, and I put the Corpse Collector on focus so I can land kicks. And I don't really know why I swapped my target to... okay, I swapped back. So my whole goal with putting the Corpse Collector on focus is that I can just do stops on them without needing to swap my target. Like, I really should be putting prio into this Kyrian Stitch work guy. And at this point, I'm mostly doing AoE. I'm kind of padding, which is a little bit troll. On a fortified week, I would definitely need to be doing funnel here. And I think in general, one of the things that I'm trying to do is just do less funnel. Like, I know that sounds like a little troll, that I would just pad with black powder, but I actually think the situations where you need dedicated funnel are maybe somewhat rare. Like, there's definitely some clear cases where it's valuable, but in a lot of cases, like, just your flag and melee is like going to be enough prio damage. I think it depends on your team comp as well. Like, if you have a survival hunter and a destruction warlock and you have no prio whatsoever, then funnel becomes way more valuable. But in my team comp, we have a enhancement shaman, which does insane funnel as well, and mostly demonology warlock, which is going to do just by far the best single target damage in the video game, right? So I think in my case specifically, and probably for most players at most levels, just ignoring funnel almost all of the time is the way to go. But one other thing I learned about this pull is that the guy that fixates casts Separate Flesh, which is why you can't evasion tank him. Chungiz from the Rogue Discord told me that, and I definitely appreciate that tip, so make sure you're always vanishing that if you are fixated. So this is a pull where I cast Axe to get a little AoE value because it's fun, but I'm actually full funnel, right? I'm going to do so much, I'm going to add so much more to the team by just focusing down this 2 million HP gore grind than I am, padding on AoE, right? I press the Axe, and it gets me definitely some AoE pad, but, my main goal here is just single target damage. We gotta get gore grind down. That's the biggest thing. But luckily, we have tons of single target damage. Our warlock is popping off. Our shaman is popping off. I'm doing adequate rogue damage, so that's totally fine. Same idea with Rot Spew, right? Again, 2 million damage, so we are just putting all of our prio into this guy. He doesn't have the he doesn't have one of the tank abilities. He doesn't have the Tenderize. He just has the Mutilate, but he has this puke that he puts on people, and as a rogue you can just press cloak when you're targeted and it won't deal the big chunk of damage and it won't drop a puddle, so it helps preserve a little bit of space that way. He also just does constant AoE damage to anyone that's around him, so we want to make sure we're killing him off to the side of the room where we won't be fighting the boss, because we don't want to be taking damage from his corpse, which is now present for the rest of the fight. I make, I think, a pretty big mistake on this boss. I flag the creation, which is absolutely troll. I should probably just completely sandbag, which is normally what I do, but in this case I just sent damage on the creation. I'm also in charge of spearing, and I messed up my positioning there. I should have sent the spear through the but I end up trying to line it up with the creation instead, and it doesn't hit either. So that's a huge bummer. And now I just call to kill the Let's just get this guy out of the way. We're gonna send the meat hook up to a platform, but unfortunately we miss. So that's a bummer. I think I just decide to full send damage on this creation. I should have pressed my my flag earlier. I ended up flagging mid-dance, so I lost a global there, which is really not good. But I cast my axe. I also proc cheat death. I think I took a bunch of damage from this puddle. I ended up taking a lot of avoidable damage in this fight, which is very unfortunate. And in this case, I think when the creation is targeting a ranged player that's on the opposite side of the boss, it's probably worth the tank just dragging the boss across the creation to land the hook. But we get this hook in as well. Pretty sure this works out just fine. Very good. And now I'm again just in full single target DPS. I make a kind of big mistake here, because I get fixated and then he gets hooked, but I'm trying to bait the boss into the other hook and keep up time, so I get hit and I feel like a noob, but it's okay. It happens. At this point, we are 4 minutes away from 2-chesting it. We don't end up 2-chesting it, which is unfortunate. I think if we don't have the Earth Ellie pull before second boss, or we don't pull the Portal Dancer or Portal Guardian or whatever that mob is called at the start, or I don't die here and we can pull this a little bit sooner, like we definitely will 2-chest this. But we made too many of these like kind of silly mistakes, so 2-chesting is likely out of the question. Our Warlock is setting up his lock gate, and he's going to try to use this to skip being banished. So I get into my cooldowns and I just start sending eviscerates into the boss. I end up putting a couple into just to guarantee that we get that relic mini boss. And now we're just in our CDs, and that is embarrassing. I think I ran into the smash. Yeah, that's unfortunate. But so I wait for the the exile because I want to press my cooldowns again, and I end up not like pathing around this boss very well, so I lose a bunch of Shadow Dance value. That's definitely a bummer. But I've got everything coming up again, so we're going to full send. And I lose a couple of globals there because of the circle on our shaman. I send an eviscerate a little bit early to try to salvage this flag. I get up to 27 stacks, which is alright, I guess. But yeah, not ideal. And because I pressed cloak to try to salvage the flag, I ended up also not having cloak for the circle, which is very upsetting. I sent axe here as well. Since I didn't get sent down, I decided to press axe. I don't have any other cooldowns available, and I think I probably could have... I think probably one of the things that I should work on is trying to send axe with other cooldowns. And I think here I'm sitting on damage because I'm thinking that I will get exiled, but I don't. So I immediately send flag once I realize that that's the case. And here my goal is to just get as many stacks of flag as I can. I get up to 30 and then get into my second Shadow Dance. One problem I'm seeing here that is definitely a chronic problem that I have is not pressing Shuriken Tornado in single target. I need to get over this habit of not pressing Shuriken Tornado in single target. It feels clunky to use, but it is technically a damage game, and I should be pressing it. Here I unfortunately get sent down partway through my Shadow Dance. It's okay. It's not the end of the world, I guess. We're doing okay boss damage. But yeah, this mob is so easy to fight as sub. You have kick, you have evasion, you can stun if it takes too long. I think what I end up doing is only pressing a single Shadow Dance. I haven't had a key level where I need to send symbols as well yet. I think eventually that will be the case. I'll want to send symbols along with that just so I can kill that ad quickly. But for now, I'm okay with just sending Shadow Dance. I get Power Infusion here. I don't know why. My footwork is looking pretty fancy, actually. That was kind of sick. And boss is dead. So yeah, we time it. We are, I think we're only like 30 or so seconds over the 2 chest timer, which is really unfortunate. We had a couple of silly mistakes that cost us a bunch of time. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, I get the mount, which is really cool. This is the same day that I got the cash trinket. This is on reset day, and I got the mount. So like, I should have bought a lottery ticket too. I don't know what I was thinking. Yeah, that was a really fun run. Thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments or the Discord if you have any questions about Sub Rogue or this dungeon. Also, if you enjoy the content, please consider subscribing. It helps me grow on YouTube. Lets me know you're enjoying the content. Oh, here's the damage breakdown. It did 1.4 million damage and 6.1% of my overall, and I suck at using it. So, and then compare that to my Spectral Scythe, which is 2.7%, and I've gotten okay at using that. Like, I feel pretty confident in my abilities to use that Scythe. Like, I'm using it on cooldown, I'm positioning pretty well for it most of the time. Whereas this axe, I messed it up multiple times in this key, and it's still doing bonkers damage. So, what a ridiculous trinket. I'm really glad I got it, and I highly recommend trying to farm it on at really any item level if you can. All right, yeah, let me know if you have any questions, and good luck out there.